Hello, everybody, and welcome to Bad Work Stories Made Good, where Emma and I are on a mission to stop the bad stuff that's happening near you.
Absolutely. There doesn't need to be suffering at work. We should be going to work and having fun, collaborating, and being highly productive and happy people. So every week, we're going to take something from you or from our clients or from the world of the media, what we're hearing out in the world, and we're going to make it good.
Going to make it good. All right. Well, we're going to try, and using our collective experience of too many decades to actually bring some perspectives, and hopefully you have some ideas and some tools to take away by the end of the session. That's the intention. So with that in mind, let's rock and roll. So Emma, what's our bad work story this week?
Well, this week, we're actually looking at what goes on for our frontline staff. What's happening at the front line right now when our customers are basically, they're the first impression, our frontline people, and yet it seems right now there's a lot of abuse going on. And maybe as customers we're losing our patience, but it seems like there's a lot of tough stuff happening out there. Um, I recently was on a long haul flight, and I headed off to Hong Kong to do some work. And my client said, "Gosh, how was the service? Because they've cut the staff." And I was thinking, "Wow, that's true." But yet, when we think about frontline staff, what is their real roles? So yeah, you've got a story too about when abuse um, it comes about in the front line, Corina.
Yeah, totally. And yeah, so the story that triggered some of my thinking was, and I don't know if you've had this situation at all for yourself, that I rang. This is so for listeners. So this is a UK example. So I rang doctor's surgery to make an appointment, and of course, you go into this kind of pre-recorded stuff, and literally the first thing for 2 minutes I hear is don't abuse our staff. I'm going, wow, like what the frig happens here, right? So, we make no apologies, we'll terminate calls, this is not okay, da 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 da. Right. And then he finally comes down and then goes, and so if you would like to push, the options, right? So finally I get through to the receptionist and, do my thing. And I said to her, like, wow, I'm just, do you mind if I ask you about the practice manager's, welcome message? And she said to me, oh, yeah, it's a bit negative, isn't it? And I went, that's kind of, it's a pretty harsh message. And I said, look, how many, I said, look, I'm really sorry that you're having this experience in your workplace. And would you mind telling me how many calls you get that are like this? And she said, oh, it's got lots better. We're now probably 1 out of 10. And I
Yeah,
went, oh, okay, so that's good. That's good, in terms of, the reduction and, 0 out of 10 would have been good, right? So I was kind of left with this, this feeling around, as you said in the beginning, are we needing to protect, it kind of feels like there's a shift in, the customer focus is now shifting into we have to protect our frontline staff.
yeah.
And yeah, so I think that's a really interesting story that I think is bad. Is my
I think
personal
so.
opinion.
I mean, the reality is that the world is understaffed. Seen this somewhere. The world is understaffed currently, and please be kind to those who turned up. And it just seems, a disappointment that we need to be talking about, you know, dealing with people in that way when they are our front line. We've got a ferry. I mean, I'm on an island, you all know, and a ferry service is our main sort of transport. In fact, our vital link to getting to the city and to the world. So there have been shortages of staff and breakdowns. And again, there's another sign up, but a little bit different to your medical centre, Corina. They've got a sign that talks about mutual respect.
Mm,
And,
mm.
they put it up that
Do that.
basically,
Yeah.
let's
So,
look after each other.
yeah,
Yeah,
for people to see that, might be a bit muddled, but yeah, that's the sign there. Yeah.
yeah. So, yeah,
Yeah.
so how do we make this good? What do you think we need to be doing?
Yeah. Well, I think I'm thinking about the doctor's surgery example, right? Which is kind of very kind of encapsulated. Is I mean, seriously, well, the first thing that occurred to me was if the staff are telling me on the phone, that it's a bit negative, isn't it? I really feel for them. I'm going like, and
Absolutely. Yeah.
like,
What are you gonna do
and
about it?
what have you done about it? Like, have you passed this information over to the practice manager?
Yeah,
And so it's kind of like internally, how are the staff feeling, and how many people actually ask them, and that's a question I'll be going back to when I see them, in the 4 weeks that I'll have to wait to get my appointment. And I kind of, I think the other big thing is what are they doing to kind of front load some education and care, right?
yeah,
So if I was to kind of say to them, well, how do you get that message across? Because facing abuse in the workplace is not okay, right? I
yeah,
think was it last week, a couple of weeks ago, we did a whole thing on internal abuse in the workplace.
yeah,
With people not speaking up, and blind eyes from management, where this is abuse coming at you from the customer. So it's kind
yeah,
of like, instead of having empathy for the customer, we're attacking the customer. Like, don't you dare
yeah,
say those things. And it's kind of
absolutely.
like, for me, it's like, how do we do that in a way that's still values aligned and purposeful and understands the stress, as you said, like the whole world is crazy, right? That everyone is, kind of pissed off at waiting for 4 weeks for an appointment. So how do you blend like managing expectations, living your purpose and culture, and reorientating the behavior of the people who call up? So, for example, just off the top, I'm just thinking like, well, what could that person say? It could be something like, if you are the 9 out of 10 callers, who really respect our staff, it's a bit like the science
Yeah,
show, right? Go positive. Like, we thank you for your patience. We know it's really hard when you want to see the practice nurse or the doctor and you have to wait. We are working on that. We're doing
yeah,
our best to kind of, do whatever you're doing. And then maybe you could even say, hey, look, if anyone out there is a system specialist or a process specialist and you've got an
yeah,
idea, or even, you retired and you used to do the stuff, you've got an idea, let us know, right?
yeah,
And that engages people in, so suddenly we can be part of the solution, not hammering home that there's a problem. And then
yeah,
I would also continue with if you are the 1 out of 10 person who thinks it's okay to shout at my team, well, then please hear this, it's not. Right?
yeah,
And we're unapologetic to
yeah,
terminating your contract. That
yeah,
happens. We're working really hard, we understand, please, and then I think it'd be kind of fun, right? It'd be kind of fun to say something like, breathe, take them into a breathing
yeah,
exercise. It's a medical
absolutely.
surgery.
You
They
could give them some mindfulness. It's a mindfulness moment. Take this moment for some mindfulness. How about, some deep breathing or some tips? Absolutely. You make the time valuable, because how often do we hear the same music on replay, and yet the organization that we're listening to could be giving us some helpful information for whatever industry they might be in, whether it's your bank, maybe there's some financial information that they could share with you. It would be brand aligned. And certainly from my perspective of, all my time in marketing, getting your personality for your organization and your purpose into that front line, and engaging with your frontline people. So, they are the experience, they're delivering that experience. So, as a leadership group, and a strategy in your organization, how are your frontline able to deal with the people up front, and make it brand aligned, and come away having created positive experiences for customers, but also for themselves. So engaging them in the process of that development too is really important.
Do you know, it reminds me of one of the first times you and I met, like years and years and years ago. And we were having a conversation about how could you actually say no to a client and actually have them walk away thinking, wow, that was a great experience.
Yep.
Right. And do
Yep.
that genuinely because it was about empathy and care, not,
Absolutely.
and yes, recognizing that they didn't get exactly what they wanted. And they walk away thinking, wow, those people really care, or they really took some time. And I think it's the same here. That can you just
Yeah.
imagine, like coming on the call and being able to say, look, I'm sorry I kept you waiting. How was the mind? Like, hey, thanks for being so patient in the call. Did you have an opportunity to connect in with your breath? How did you find it?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
really disarming, and being able to and particularly in a health-based, this health-based industry that we're, particularly like a doctor's surgery, although doctor surgeries and health don't always go together, unfortunately. And that could be a really lovely value add, and give the reception staff, kind of a tool to kind of contribute to their purpose and culture. So yeah,
Yeah.
so that's and you. So what would you do on the ferry example? So tell us a little bit more about, because as you said, being on the island, the thing is super important.
Yeah, so I mean, it can be very stressful. As I say, it's a vital link. If you've got to catch a flight or an essential medical appointment, which, again, happens, then the situation with the staff is they're the front line. That's not their fault per se that so they shouldn't have to take the heat. I actually would flip it back and the ferry company could actually be giving us some advice on early advice, like saying travel early. For me now with client appointments, I make sure that I'm on that ferry at 2 hours prior to my appointments. I don't wait till I used to be the last minute person. I was like, quick, I can get in and get to the city and get my jobs done. But now absolutely not. I'll go early. So yeah, so I think helpful tips from the ferry company on how to relieve our own stress, and it is about time, and it is about having to reposition what we thought was because of the situation they're in, we have to rework the way we work. So I think
Yeah,
there's some
totally.
helpful ideas there that they could be sharing with us, and better communication, because often we will turn up to a ferry and it's been cancelled, and our alerts, because we have an app on our phone, so it just should be easy just to go ding. It's but we're not getting some of the communication. So the support, really the support behind, and then for the customers to be able to travel safely and to get where they need to be on time. Yeah.
Yeah, totally, totally. And I think that kind of the same with the doctor's example there is what we're then asking, which is probably another interesting piece, is that we're asking staff to do more, right? To tap
Yeah.
into a different skill set.
Yes.
So you're now, instead of just people on the ferry or tapping your card, getting on the ferry, you're actually like, oh my goodness, you might have to talk to people.
Yeah.
So what are the skills
Yeah.
involved in that, or to like to de-stress people, and understanding that everybody's stressed, right, our staff included.
Yeah.
We've got a cost of living crisis here in the UK. We're in the summer, but it's raining, it's cold, right? So that's just, and then we've had this war still going on. I mean, there's lots of things going on that are adding to people's sense of overwhelm and tension. So
Yeah. To get wrapped
um,
up and see the human, isn't it? See the
yeah,
human.
exactly. So let's talk about flights, because flights kind of on a different piece, because they're kind of for me anyway. I kind of sit at the other end of the continuum, and what I think the bad work story in there for me, and it is about kind of protecting our staff, and that's why I kind of think it's an interesting example to add into this, is, and it freaking makes me cringe every time I hear it, particularly on short haul flights, right? So around Europe, is at the end of the flight, the senior flight attendant will get on and say, And I just want to thank my incredible team for their incredible service today. And I'm thinking, huh? Like that, it's not. And I want to be really clear, and anyone listening, I am all for thanking and praising and acknowledging. But to do it publicly on a loudspeaker system, you can all gather down the back, right? And they do. They all gather down the back and that stuff. But to have to do that publicly, it just
Yeah.
feels off to me. I mean, your recent long haul was on Hong Kong, wasn't it? It was an 11-hour
Yeah.
flight to Hong
Yeah.
Kong, wasn't it? Did they do that kind of thing? Like, that's probably more
Well,
soothing.
I didn't sort of say, actually, I don't remember it at the end of it. Mind you, after 10 hours of flying, I'm a bit like a zombie, but and when I think about long haul, and actually a short haul as well, I mean, the real purpose of having flight attendants on board is for safety. I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah.
It's not to be fed another terrible cup of coffee or an even worse meal.
Mm.
It's really about the fact that, if something goes wrong, they've actually got to be in action. So, when I think about it, their true purpose is hidden behind the service they give us. But in a moment of real need, I want to know that these people are going to know how to help me get off the plane or what to do in a case of an emergency. So I do feel for flight crew, because I do think that they have a true purpose, which we hope they never get to use, or very often, the
Yeah.
safety part. And like the dishing out, as I say, of the bad coffee and the food. Well, it's just a sideline,
Not a bad story.
and
I started
it's
on that.
that's another bad story. But the food is
Well, it's
on
the
board.
wastage. For me, it's the wastage. It's carnage. Like, those bags of rubbish,
Yeah,
from an environmental standpoint, and wasted food and energy. It's just like, next time you're ever anyone listening on a flight, have a look. It's criminal to me. I mean, yeah. But I think the kind of kind of what I wanted to add to that was, it's where is people's attention? Like, if they were on the loudspeaker saying, "Hey, everybody, just wanted to thank everybody, all the passengers, for being a real
yes,
pleasure to fly
yeah,
with you today. We really
yeah,
appreciate it this time of the year." Or maybe there was an issue with the
yeah.
credit card thing, or hey, you were really patient, or hey, look, we know, we just really want to thank the hen party or the stag do people down the back. Sometimes it can be quite challenging with lots of alcohol and bad behavior. But you guys were amazing. You were really
Yeah,
respectful. Thank you. And we want to wish the, so and so and so and so who are getting married all the best. Like, that to me is purposeful and
yeah,
inclusive, and gives a
yeah.
point of difference and interest, on the flight. But to go
Yeah,
into our
true.
hospital and go, well, we just want to thank our staff. I'm thinking,
Mm,
kind of feels like maybe something is missing in their system of
true.
appreciation, that we have to
Yeah,
deliver it now on the plane versus in a cabin crew debrief afterwards or something. So I don't know if anyone knows
yeah.
more about that. Let us know, because it's interesting. Yeah. Any other thoughts on
Absolutely.
that? Any other thoughts on
Yeah,
that?
I mean, I think that we all need to be more mindful about our frontline people that we're interacting with, whether in a retail setting, um, you know, and wherever we come across people that are, basically holding it together for organisations that are struggling. So I think, yeah, let's be kind. I'm going to bring a Jacinda comment in to finish. Let's be kind, people.
Yeah. Everyone hasn't worked out. Emma's in New Zealand. Yeah, and I think what my takeaway from this conversation is, how can you use the current stuff? If you have to go out there and say something like, "Hey, mutual respect," or "Don't abuse our customers," and use that as a data point. It's information. How can we turn that
Absolutely.
around for good? How can we use that to get closer to our customer,
Absolutely.
to show that we're really caring, and really empower our staff and invest maybe in our staff, to be able to really deliver that in a beautiful way. So I think it's an opportunity. An opportunity. Yeah. All right.
Let's
So
let's make it
yeah,
good. Let's make a good team.
let's
So
make it good.
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So
And remember, if you've got a bad work story, yep, you should, and when you you would like our perspective on it, please send it to us at help@badworkstoriesmadegood.com. And if you feel it's bigger, then and you want to talk to us personally, then reach out to us and we'll help you directly.
yeah, cool. You can book in a free consultation with Emma or I on the Calendly links below. So we look forward to talking to you. And until then, I hope your week at work is good.
Yes,
Bye for now.
yes. Be kind. Be kind, people. Bye.
Bye. Bye.